Today is not for the faint of heart. We will be pulling 10 dirty secrets out from this glass, and some of them might sting. Welcome back to another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines.
Today, Chrissy, we want to talk about the time you almost broke the internet when you explained how a Filipina views going online and video chatting, and you said this.
When they request for a woman to video call them, you will be surprised because you will just see them naked. You will see them playing.
It's not just the men who are worried about being scammed.
Today, with your help, Chrissy, the perspective of a Filipina, we're going to go into top 10 dirty little secrets.
A little disclaimer, I am not taking side here. I'm a Filipina married to an American husband, giving some advice to foreigners, and we are also giving advice to some Filipinas who are getting scammed by foreigners.
It's a challenge for both parties, and I always tell the men they have a superpower, like Superman, they have a superpower, and there's a kryptonite out there also. Stay tuned, I'm going to tell you what your superpower is, and I'm going to tell you what the kryptonite is that the Filipinas are using that can diffuse your great power. You've faced lies, confusion, deceit. You've faced it all. It's like jumping in a shark tank and trying to swim to the other side without losing a limb. But Chrissy's here to tell you the Filipinas have a perspective too. They're getting scammed also. And likewise, the men are jumping in that shark tank and leaving without a limb. And here today, Chrissy and I have these 10 dirty little secrets.
Some of these things, even your friends will not tell you.
But Chrissy and I will. Here we go.
Should I be the one to get
Yeah, sure. You can
dirty?
Yeah. You get
Okay.
dirty. Get dirty. Dive into there's a glass of dirt here.
Yeah, I know, my finger's not dirty.
Gentlemen, this is so difficult. You know, Chrissy, if you were coaching a Filipina, what not to do to scare away a man that they met either in person or on a dating site, what's the number one thing you'd tell that woman?
Do not hint for money or tell them something that will need money.
Okay, and likewise, if you asked me what's the number one thing I would tell a Western man if he met a Filipina online or he met her in person, I'd tell him, don't ask for any entertainment in the evening. Don't ask for any, skin.
Yeah.
And just don't do it because, they're thinking you're a scammer. The men are thinking the women are scammers. The women are thinking the men are scammers. Those are the two things. So if within 2 weeks, Chrissy, a woman asks for $200, $150 to $250 is typically what we hear. The women, right around the 10th to the 15th day, they ask for money. What does that mean, Chrissy?
Well, it means that they're up with your money. They're chatting with you because they want money from you. And $200 or $150 might not be huge for you because for you it's just small value. But here in the Philippines, it's already a full-time wage.
It's a month's wage, $200. $7 a day is the minimum wage here in Cagayan de Oro. So, Chrissy, I mentioned that we're going to talk about Superman and the fact that he has a superpower and that there's the kryptonite. And right away, we're number one, the kryptonite. The $200 ask is their kryptonite. It's only $200. You take a woman out for dinner and a few glasses of wine in the West, it's $200. When a Filipina can't pay the vet bill, her kid's broken his arm, grandma's in the hospital, the sewing machine has broken, her police uniform was destroyed, she has to buy a new one. It's kryptonite to you, gentlemen, to reach into your pocket and send her $150. It's your kryptonite. And you don't realize it's your kryptonite. It's such a small amount of money. You don't think anything of it. And now the relationship that you've tried to start is forever broken. It's a transactional relationship. And this kryptonite is going to be what kills Superman. So what should they do when after 10 days, here comes the request for $150 to $250?
Just simply hit that block button. Same thing as Filipino. When Filipino will talk to somebody and that somebody will say, hey, can I have
A show, yeah.
Can I have a picture of you in bikini? Block.
Block. And so If you had a big brother, he would tell you, don't ask for the bikini picture. If you had a big sister and you were a Filipina, she would tell you, never hint or ask for money. And the fact that they hint or ask for money in the first 15 days means she violated the golden rule.
If she asks that fast, she's likely done it before. Like what I said, when it comes, run.
Yeah, run, block. This is the hardest thing for men to do, Chrissy. Women have to respond to incoming messages. It's the job of a woman to be chased after. But for men, when they sign up, they're going to have 200 to 400 incoming messages. This is 1960s America. Women are not very liberated. They're not very assertive. They're not the type who will start the conversation. What do you think? You're the Filipino. They want to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, if you are talking to a Filipina that is more conservative than what you expected, I think it's a green flag. But if you will be talking to a Filipina that is really, really liberated, you know, it could be cautious.
And a woman in 1960s America is usually not sporting body art, and she's not writing to you looking half Ukrainian and half Filipino.
Sometimes, you know, messages are very addictive. I mean, very attractive. You will be curious, who are they?
Of course, curious.
Who
They're
they
men.
are, and you're gonna check on them.
There's a saying, the fish you catch has more to do with the pond you fish in than the rod and reel you choose. So if you respond to incoming messages, yes, there will be a few babies in the bathwater that you'd throw away if you avoided them. And everybody else who's been scammed, the first question when men tell me they lost $1,000, they lost $15,000, I always ask, who wrote, did you write the girl or did she write you? They wrote me. The simple rule is this, you're a man, you have eyeballs. When somebody sends you a message, there's a picture affiliated with the message or a profile. You're gonna look at the picture. Just don't write them back.
If she messages you first on a dating site, most of the time, it's a trap. If she is too aggressive and too fast, back off.
Chrissy, this morning, one of my clients sent me a message. Well, he just started talking to a woman online. She sent him bikini pictures in the first 20 minutes. Would you say that's too aggressive, too fast?
It's too aggressive and too fast. Back off.
Okay. We can't say this enough, and Chrissy offers a service where she does a full 4 to 6 hour review, and we have found ladyboys on TikTok. We have found 12 out of the 14 passports to be counterfeit. We have found women getting their rent paid by other foreigners. It's just unfortunate, but the girls typically let it all hang out on social media. And typically what they'll do is they'll create a fake Facebook page to prepare to go and meet a foreigner.
You know what I noticed is that there's a lot of Western men, especially on 50 plus ages above. They are not into social media.
Right.
They're not into Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram even. So they don't know what's normal on Facebook and TikTok.
And they don't speak Visayan or Tagalog, and it's very difficult for them to understand what's happening on the Facebook page.
And yeah, and most of the time they are been taken advantage by those scammers.
You really need to check their social media. And, you know, if you could check their social media before you spent 15 days with them, well, you would save yourself a lot of heartache, because more times than not, they're going to be dating their cousin. They're going to be at the beach with 15 men their age every weekend. They're going to be at resorts in bikinis. They're going to have tattoos down the middle of their back that you haven't seen. And these may change your opinion as to whether you want to go forward.
Yeah, for most of the Filipinas, their social media is like the storage of a story and history.
If you meet the right woman, she's going to have a solid resume on her social media that, you know, is going to be a confirmation.
Check all those pictures of her with kids and tags from men. And of course, filters. All filters.
Chrissy, you find breadcrumbs, cookies, filters, links to TikTok, Instagram, secondary Facebook pages. It's like third base. You don't want to race for home plate and book your ticket until you've checked social media.
One of the things that you should also look for is that when her social media is public, everything there is public, it's a green flag because she's not hiding anything. She's an open book.
Yeah.
But if her social media is always private, locked or something that you can't open it, you don't have an access to it, there's something in there that shouldn't want to be shown to the public. So it's kind of like red flag.
Red flag. So yeah, it's a little bit like having a reference check done before you hire somebody. And I always say, Chrissy, hire hard, manage easy. Filipinas are notoriously bad with money. They borrow money, they get engaged in pyramid schemes, they get engaged in all kinds of nonsense when it comes to handling money, and they can't say no to their relatives either. Would you agree?
I agree.
And so, you know, there's a number of things that we need to determine when we get to know somebody, and it's just not all on social media. Some of it is she defensive? Is she overly jealous? Does she tighten up if you accidentally say something that bothers her? And does she pull a passive-aggressive tempo? You know, Chrissy, I mentioned earlier that there's the kryptonite problem for Superman, but then Superman has a superpower. And do you know what that is?
Yeah, tell us.
Well, he wears a cape. What do you think it's for?
Protection or
Flying.
something?
He can fly. And if you are a Western man, this is your superpower. So when you go and choose to meet a Filipina, if you have no plan to travel to the Philippines until maybe one day you meet somebody and then maybe one day you can get 6 months later some time off, well, you don't have a superpower. You're just that guy who's probably lying that he's married or that he's not married. You're probably that guy who's the janitor taking the picture in front of the Corvette. You have no plans to come to the Philippines, and it might take you a year until you save up the money and get 3 weeks off and make the trip to the Philippines. But if you are like a lot of Western men and you're recently retired or recently divorced and you have time off or you work for yourself, you have a superpower. You can fly. And I always recommend, Chrissy, that people get online 45 days to 30 days before they come to the Philippines. When a man tells you he is arriving, he can fly like Superman and will be arriving within 3 weeks or 5 weeks, what do you say to yourself as a Filipina? Does that make him super competitive versus other men?
Oh, yeah.
It does.
It is.
So I've always said, and I think this is what you tell me, Chrissy, if a man says, I'm going to be there in 3 weeks, and she has 20 other emails from other men, is she, does she maybe go, wait a minute, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to put all my chips on the table. This guy can fly. He's got a superpower. These other guys, they may fly, they may not fly. It may take them 6 months to get off the ground. But this guy's got wings. He'll be here in 3 weeks. All my chips, I'm going to wait 3 weeks and see if it's real. What do you think?
Yeah, and you will know if the woman is really all in for you, because if she's all in, she's going to meet you. But if she's not, she's going to give you a lot of alibis why she can't make it, why she can't meet you.
Right.
By that day.
So once you've done the social media check and once you've tested and you've found out if she's healthy and she's got a good personality, use your superpower to make it so that maybe that better looking younger guy doesn't catch and get the recruit. You know, you have to switch gears. You're initially sort of hiring, but when you meet someone like Chrissy, you have to recruit. You have to recruit. And part of recruiting is letting her know, I've got a superpower. I'll be flying to Manila in 3 weeks. I have wings. These other guys you're chatting with, you might have to wait 6 months and find out this guy's married. You might have to wait 6 months and find out he can't get 2 weeks vacation to come to the Philippines. But me, 65 dad bod from Texas, I'm flying in 3 weeks. So that's your superpower. Make sure you're prepared to use it to differentiate yourself. And meeting a Filipina becomes a lot easier when you share that you have a superpower and you don't deal with kryptonite. You stay far away from kryptonite.
I think Filipinos should be careful also with supermen.
Yeah.
Because they're carrying red flags on their back.
Okay.
Big red flag.
A red flag on their back, okay. They may fly in to see more than one person.
A lot of you there.
That's why you want to meet them at the airport.
Yeah.
Right?
Some there can plead guilty.
Yeah.
Those women who are hinting, they won't always ask directly. They will go like this. My grandmother is sick, but we will be fine. That's a bait.
Well, Chrissy, there's something called a CENOMAR, a CENOMAR.
Certificate of no marriage.
And you can go to a website called PSA.com, which is Philippine Statistics Authority. And for $8, I think, we just sent away for ours because we just got married. We need evidence that we are married. If you have her passport or birth certificate that she shared with you, you can actually pay the $8, upload her document. It can only be delivered to her, to her home address. It only takes like 1 to 2 weeks, like 9-10 days, business days. And boom, they'll come right to your door on a motorcycle and drop off the Senemar. And if she's not married, she should be more than happy to either already have the Senemar or produce one for you. And now here, Chrissy, a lot of people, like we have relatives that have children and they're not married. It's a lot of hassle and expense to get married, and there's no divorce in the Philippines. And a lot of young people just decide once someone gets pregnant, they're a couple, they go ahead and live like a married couple, but they're not married.
There will be a lot of women who've been into an unfortunate marriages, and they were married before, but then they broke up and now live as a single woman, and their partners already have another partner. So if they are very serious and they are really into you, they will tell you that she's technically married, and it's a red flag, but it is really a big red flag if she will hide it from you.
Right. It costs about $5,000 US to process an annulment. It can take a year if you have the cash and you give the lawyer the cash right on the spot, but it can take 3 years if you're like most Filipinas and you're paying gradually out of like a school teacher salary, or you're waiting for a foreigner to come along and kind of finish the payment process. And you were in the process of being annulled when I met you.
I already had the judge decision when I met you.
You had the judge's decision, but it took over a year to get the Senemar.
Yes. So, majority of the Filipinos cannot afford annulment, or majority of them don't want to hustle. So they will be married by paper, but they're separated with their husbands.
And you hear a lot of people kind of scaremongering. There's the letter of the law, and then there's the way it's actually enforced. There are a lot of foreigners who are hooked up with married Filipinas. Their ex-husbands have gone off and started new families, or 10 years have gone by and they've never been a problem, and people just kind of go about and live their lives. It's not recommended, but it does happen quite often, don't you think?
Yeah, a lot of women here have a struggling marriage, and they could jump into another option of relationship, which is dating foreign men. Boyfriends.
Yeah, there's something called the long con, Chrissy, and we talked about the short con where they ask for $150 to $250 within 10 to 15 days. There's something called the long con, and the women may be single, they may be married, but they're into it for 3, 4, or 5 foreign men to pay the rent and not to come to the Philippines. So they don't ask for money for several months. And you could actually come to the Philippines and visit them for 7 days or 10 days, and they will sleep with you in the Airbnb, and they'll have some cousin driving them around who's probably their husband. You have to stay 3 weeks or longer to flush out all the other boyfriends and all the local men she may be sleeping with to bust the long con. So you can't fly in for 7 days, spend 7. She can claim she's got COVID. Her husband will put up with taking care of the kids for a week, but they won't put up with it for 3 weeks. She can't ghost the man in Australia and England, and you'll find out about it if you're spending every minute with her. So many of the women who don't ask for money, they're talking to 3, 4, or 5 men in different time zones. Eventually, the men offer to pay $200 or $300 every month for rent. And that's her goal, is to get $1,000 US a month from 3, 4, or 5 men, and only have them come maybe never, or if they do come, she's only got a week off work, she can only see him for a week, and a very small amount of time where she can give that man 100% of her time.
So it's a relationship business.
It's a relationship business, and when minimum wage can be $200, $300 a month, that's a pretty good business. Yeah. One of the things you need to do when you use your superpower and you actually put your cape on and fly in is not only spend 2 to 3 weeks minimum with her to flush out these other boyfriends, you need to meet the family. You have to be introduced to the family, and you have to make an assessment of the family members. Most Filipinos have very large families. Some of them have lost their parents to illness and accidents. Others have uncles who could be unreliable or drug users or needing to borrow money to start businesses and won't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Some might have legitimate medical issues where just a few thousand US dollars could really make a difference in their long-term survivability. And guess what? It's important because when you latch on to a Filipino, when you marry a Filipina, you kind of get the whole family too.
I think upon meeting the Filipina, it's either online or boots on the ground. You are going to ask about the family, how many brothers and sisters she have, what's their work, how many kids, and how is that uncle on her Facebook page related to her, and what side, mother's side or father's side? That's kind of investigation.
And Chrissy, you have a big family, but people go to church once or twice a week. They don't wear jewelry. They don't drink alcohol. They all work. And it's very comforting to find a situation like that. It really is. They can't expect everybody to be so religious. But people who don't abuse substances and are generally working and productive members of society is what you're looking for. Yeah.
Part of the family investigation is that be aware of those children that she introduced you to be nieces or nephews, because they could be her kids.
Children.
Yeah.
Yes.
So some Filipinas did something like that. It's horrible because it's too late when the foreigner men had find it out that it's not really a nephew. It's a son.
Yes.
There's a lot of men that approach us and showed us pictures of Filipinas, which actually doesn't look like Filipina, and sometimes they're in bikinis. So that is a sign that you are not really watching a real Filipina.
Yeah. But be careful who you meet online. If they look too good to be true, if they look like they're half Ukrainian and half Filipina, they have some exotic story, it's just not who you're really looking for. You're looking for a girl who has no filters, 2 or more photos, and has been online in the last 24 hours at a normal time of day. You have to flush out the long con. You have to be here for 3 weeks, not just to find out if there's other men in the shadows, but to find out about her jealousy and her tompo. That 10 pounds of sausage is going to squeeze out of that 5-pound wrapper.
Even in a year.
Even in a year, she might keep it up, you think.
But at least you will have an introduction for 3 weeks or 1 month, You will kind of
I think it's very important.
Something.
Get to know the relatives, get to know the real personality, and to find out if there's any men in the background.
There's a lot of things that you need to know, and you will only find out if you will live together.
Yeah. So your kryptonite, gentlemen, is your money, because to you it's not a lot of money, and to them it's a lot of money. And one of the things that prevents men from being successful is they quit. Chrissy, they quit because their heart, it's not the $200 they sent that makes them quit. It's the fact that they had their hopes up. They met a young woman who's beautiful, and she seemed so friendly, and she seemed so real. And it turns out she was transactional and needed $200 for a sewing machine. And he's listened to us, and he knows what it means. He knows what it means. And he's heartbroken because he got out over his skis. You haven't utilized your superpower and flown here to be with her and to meet the relatives and see who she really is, and if there's other men in the shadows. That's when your heart is allowed to kick in.
I have a question.
Okay, go.
How many times you've been heartbroken online?
Well, it happened to me twice, and then I got to the point where I started looking at people's Facebook pages before I would invest much time and energy into them. But it's impractical sometimes because the women will hide their pages, and you need someone like Chrissy to kind of break into the vault. Anyway, for Chrissy's help or my help as a big brother, or if you want to buy our book on Amazon, just search "Fly Me to the Philippines" ebook. It'll pop right up, and you can email us at
flymetothephilippines@gmail.com.
And we have a new website, flymetothephilippines.com. Check it out, just out this week.
So there you have it. Till next time, only here from Fly Me to the Philippines.